Hi to my followers. Anyway, I'm here at this park. After a while, I've been finding some time just to come out here and get some rest and to recharge myself out here. So I think I'll actually probably just do some walking after this. And so today I just wanted to make this video about something that has been on my mind for a while. For those who are not aware, actually, I'm not supposed to actually say so much about where I am right now or things like that because I realized after the those two stupid incidents of that narcissistic lady and toxic, not narcissistic but toxic lady, whom I think probably is a frog. She looks like a frog, and that Jehovah's Witness guy, the cultist. I kind of realized that some online people don't have any manners and they just don't even know how to love themselves. Okay, and I don't want to end up sinking to their level to name them, call them whatever, or to even engage in any kind of fights because I don't like fighting with people who are not mature. But I just want to talk about something that I was thinking about concerning those kind of emotions that govern us as people. Like that would include love, okay, but also emotions like shame, guilt, and also and all this kind of emotions basically. Okay, so and of course the emotions are always attached to certain thoughts. This is what I realized while I was in a session with a psychologist today, and then of course it also links to the thing about not psychological, about anxiety that we feel. Okay, so part of it was like, there are so many things that I still haven't really resolved, and on my own end I always say, the thing is this, there are certain habits that I want to get rid of, such as those kind of unnecessary interjections that I always drop in the middle of my speech. Okay, those are unnecessary, such as they might not point to me lacking confidence, but they do give the impression that I have a lack of confidence, and partially because I don't really like to plan out everything, just read off the script. So it gives people the impression that I am not very very well thought out or well planned out, but in fact I do plan my stuff, ironically. So this is just a reflection of part of my whole speech patterns that I always end up fumbling at, and also because I'm also very socially awkward as a person. Yeah, I might look very confident, and my pictures, everything, people might think that I'm actually very confident myself, my body, my face, or the way I look, but even myself, my intelligence level, everything, because I think I do have an above average intelligence based on my Mensa test and everything. But that said, the whole thing is that once you have been through any kind of PTSD or abuse episodes, it definitely affects you, and this kind of things always reflects, especially in your speech patterns. So, but today I want to just talk about something that okay, let's go back to this whole thing I said about love. Okay, love is something that I think that most of us have been thinking about as a society. The whole thing is this: we are. In a former video, I said something about people who are, more prone to believe in this idea of one love, that one soulmate. Okay, who will complete you, being more prone to predators and narcissists. And not just narcissists, but predators in general. Okay, so it could be emotional or sexual predators. And the thing is, with these predators, they seem to know exactly what you really want, what we really want. Okay, of course we know that it's also because we have been primed. When they first meet us, they'll be asking us so many questions. But that aside, we know that it boils down to the whole misconception that we have right in our heads, that there's this whole thing called love, that you complete us, you make us happy and everything. So I kind of realized this, and I'm teaching something in my field right now after a while, and I kind of realized, I was actually exploring in my own work and research. I was exploring the idea of the history of emotions, how they actually evolve in over certain historical periods, especially the Middle Ages, which was my area. So I kind of realized this, the way love was understood so different back then as compared to now. It's a truism by itself, but even then, the idea of what love is so different, because the thing is this. That you have this idea in the Bible that When Jesus asked his disciple Peter, who denied him 3 times, "Do you love me?" He said, "Yes, I do, Lord." Love is not in this case. It's not romantic. It's love for God because He is God incarnate, and also love for a really a friend, okay, whom you really view as very close to your heart, and that is a kind of spiritual love that's supposed to actually transcend even the fleshly. But you know what Jesus told Peter 3 times, okay, was to do different things. Like first, for example, if you love me, you have to take care of people, those who follow me, my sheep, okay. Then he said, feed my lamb. Yes, those things, like you have to actually don't just not just bring them back into the fold, but you have to take care of them, feed them. Basically, he was referring, obviously metaphorically, to teaching them, caring for them, being pastoral. I mean, that kind of metaphorical language obviously was implying that love is also through the actions. Okay, so if Peter really loved Jesus as his teacher, his Lord, his master, his God, his brother and friend, okay, closest friend being God, who seems he is God incarnate. So how can you just say that I just say I love you? Love is not even through speech, but through actions. And the thing is this, I used to think about this. When we have been, like those of us who have been in those kind of relationships with narcissistic people, whether as friends or even romantic partners or whatever. The one thing I think all of us are always waiting to hear from them is not just the words, "I love you," "I really do love you," but we know that words are really, really, really cheap. Okay, words are really, really cheap because why? Words without any actions to accompany them, they are really cheap and they don't mean anything. So and it's a kind of double standard in itself, because think about it. They expect us to really love them, to prove it in our actions. They always say things like, they gaslight us and victim shame us and scapegoat us by telling us, if you really love me, you'll do this, but you didn't. So they are implying that we didn't show it in our actions. And yet, they didn't even go as far as to show in their actions that they love us, because they are constantly abusing us and treating us like goodness, like shit. Yeah. So then the question is this. So what exactly is love? Love is not by saying that you feel it. You can't feel it. You can't just feel it, because it doesn't say anything. But I say I feel love for you. So it's like that the husband would cheat on his wife, or the wife would cheat on the husband, and they say, oh, you know what, darling, I really love you, but that man or woman whom I slept with was just sex. That's not love. You don't love someone by betraying them. The actions show who you are, that you actually don't really love them. You have in fact betrayed them. So that's one thing. Love is not just cheap talk. It's not promising this and promising that and never delivering on them. Okay, that's one thing. So love is always proved through actions. But that aside, I also realized one thing, because I was talking with this friend based on a piece of news about this man in Indonesia. He literally unalived someone. Okay, I don't want to. I don't know. He was like 50. Was he 45? He had that person. I don't really know whether they're related. Obviously, for him to have done that, the person doesn't seem to have been related to him. But he kept on asking him numerous times whether he was married, and he got so fed up, and in the end he talked to unaliving that person. I was thinking, what kind of thing is that, to just unalive someone unless you're either that enraged, or unless that you really, really hate the person, but which is very unlikely if he didn't know the person. So the question was this. It was posted by my this one from a friend, or very close acquaintance, the one photographer that I work with in Korea. He's bilingual in both Korean and English. So I was just surprised. I was really surprised, because he told me that he was actually working in the Czech Republic before he returned to Korea. He was supposed to actually work in Vladivostok in Russia. I think there's this kind of obsession with Russia, Russian cities for some reason among some Koreans, or at least Slavic cities. And he asked me, based on that piece of news, I know, he says it's very funny, isn't it? Yeah, it's very funny. But he asked me, Kevin, you're considering your age, have you not ever, have your parents nagging you to get married? I said, you know what? I said, everything was the conversation was partially in English and Korean. since he's Korean. So I just said, you know what? I think I typed it out both in English and Korean, but I said, you know, I told him, 희망을 포기해서 포기했다. So basically it was just that I was saying that my parents gave up hope that that I would get married. And there was another thing I said. Of course, I said that actually, to be honest, it's just my personal point of view. I don't want to insult anyone, but it's just that I don't find Singaporean women particularly smart or attractive from my point of view. This is just my personal preference. So and I mean, of course, I didn't say that. Well, there are reasons such as, like, the Orthodox, my own faith and everything. I don't want to end up with a girl who's in a different faith, because I have learned my lesson about dating those who are not in the same faith, and it's really, really terrible. And yeah, let's just say that it was quite disastrous. But he said something. He said that that whole thing about what love is, and I just kind of told him something that kind of suddenly I sank in my head. I talked about love. That this is a very, and again, the first societal conditioning is the idea of love being an emotion. It's a kind of feeling. It's very lovey-dovey. It's not lovey-dovey. It's a lot of actions, and that is something that I think a lot of people, they don't really love each other even when they marry each other or when they get into a relationship. They are kind of using each other for something, and so that isn't really love. It's more like a transaction. But the other thing I said to him was actually the thing that I said to him in relation to my parents having giving up for. That was a joke, but the thing was that I said, sometimes when you get married, I told him, if you ever get married, okay, let's just say that it's not just about the love between you and the other half, the significant other. This applies to both sexes, okay, and because you have your parents, your family, whether your parents and family like each other, yeah, that's the thing. And then you have your mutual finances. Can you last together with each other as a couple through all these times? Let's say, for me, I'm not like always in a very financially stable situation compared to back then, before I came back. And back then I was much more stable, but now I'm just going through this kind of situation where I'm trying to find myself. Of course, there are good things and there are bad things to it, but that's the idea, that the realization that that if I was with someone, okay, whether even if it's not marital, she has to be able to understand that I can't take her out on expensive dinners, okay, and yeah, I can't take her out. It's just the way that this financial situation has been. And of course I can treat you whatever, but you shouldn't be expecting me to pay for nearly everything to the point that I go broke. I don't have any savings to go back to do these things, to like study or whatever. And yeah, you can't live on me. You can't expect me to do everything for free for you, okay? Nothing is really free. And on top of that, there are many other things. I'm that's my distraction right now. But what I told him was that there are many things involved, like when it comes to love or marriage. So one thing is just religion. Okay, religion aside, there's also your family. Okay, whether they like each other, get along with each other, whether they can even accept your spouse. Okay, and or your partner. And then what else? Cultural differences. Yeah, cultural differences. For some reason, Singaporeans and also I think American girls irk me an awful lot. I don't really know why. Maybe especially after the last few weeks, I realized some American girls are very disgusting. Like, they think it's like if I'm nice to you, it's not because I'm interested in you. You think that I'm actually trying to hit on you. It's so ridiculous. That's why I never say hi to people on the streets in America. It's like I just walk quickly past them, because I don't want to be accused of being of doing this SA, okay, when I'm not, okay, and I don't want to get called or accused of something that I never did, okay. It's quite ridiculous. And of course, other than cultural differences, there's so many other things, like economics, even personal differences. Like, sometimes people, I mean, to be honest, some people just don't like certain things about you. They can't help it, but it's just them, and it's like, oh, you say that you don't like the fact that I'm actually into Korean culture, but I can't change it anyway. Why should I change it for you? It's a part of myself. So do I drain my blood out, or change it to another blood type, or do I stop associating with my Korean friends, or do I totally unlearn my Korean or my Chinese or whatever? It doesn't make sense, that whole idea of trying to compromise on who you are as a person. That's not love, actually. That is more than just love. There's something else. It's more like compromising on your values, and of course, yeah, and your personal values too. This is another thing that I think, it's never just about love. Love is not enough. Okay, so these are the two things I was thinking, and then the whole thing I realized. Oh, when I was in the midst of preparing a lecture about this. It's not in the area of psychology, but it's kind of related, but more in relation to this historical phenomena itself, and as being practiced or believed in back then in the past. And then I realized, oh, you know what, our society has really really brainwashed us by things like the popular media. You have very lovey-dovey songs, the whole idea of love as a kind of emotion. But if it's an emotion, then it'll be very fleeting. It's not really just an emotion. And I kind of realized that in the French sense, they have the two different words for love. I think so. They have two different words. One was the idea, the word for feeling. I think feeling, which for them means something that is very transitory, is short term. And then you have the other word, which was actually sentiment, or in English is sentiment. In French it's pronounced as sentiment. But for them it's actually a long term thing. So there's some things like, let's say, anger and rage. Anger and rage are a little bit different. Okay, so I think in that case, rage is temporary, it can fade off, but anger can be quite long term. So that makes anger sentiment, while in the case of anger will be sentiment because it's more long term, while in the case of rage it's actually very short term, so it's actually a feeling. Okay, an emotion. Emotion, I think so, yeah. Emotion. The thing is this, being kind of like not bilingual, but being multilingual, a polyglot myself, I kind of realized this difference. And then you realize that, we have been brainwashed a lot by media. I mean, it's just the nature of it. And we have very dreamy, movies about romances and K-dramas, Korean dramas about that. But you realize that the reality underlying everything is actually much, much more dour, much more serious, and things aren't always what they seem. So, it just goes back to two things. It's like, the first one is that love is not really just a feeling or emotion that you can just switch off. Because if you can switch out of love, then why do people who get into this kind of abusive love relationships take so long to recover? Even friendships, people don't realize this too. You have gotten yourself into some friendship which is really really bad. Okay, you spend a long time analyzing why it was like that. Okay, and why people are behaving like that. You ruminate as well, and that's the thing that we don't come to acknowledge. Okay, and the other thing is that really love isn't really enough, because there's just so much more to even reconcile with people. And I realized this, even not just with potential romantic partners or dates, but even, let's say, with friends. Sometimes that so-called love or whatever respect you have, it can be broken by anything. Okay, it can be, and it's just the truth of it. Especially, for example, that friend whom I regard now as a former friend, because she had been trying really hard. She had ulterior motives, like to basically convert me to her fundamentalist Pentecostal religion. And I didn't like the fact that not only the fact that she was trying to convert me, but the fact that she was always talking down to me. She would use the terms, then those Christian terms, and then explain them to me as they are being used by her. And it's like thinking that I do not know what she's saying, treating me like an idiot, casting aspersions on my dreams and aspirations, saying that I'm not going to get happier because of whatever. And you know what? If they're behaving like that, basically the love between us as friends is like not really that much of a strong friendship or love or friends between friends. So that itself is a kind of like a sign as well about differences between, let's say, even romantic partners, because friends are I mean, it's a different kind of love, but it's still, it's still love in a different way. And it's not just based on the feeling, okay? The feeling is not enough, okay? Because I mean, there are so many other pragmatic factors. Like for me, that the friendship between me and her literally ended just because of differences in religion, and the fact that she didn't respect my religion and everything. I don't like friends like that, and that I'm very, very aware. Okay, so I respect you. I respect your right to decide what you want to believe in, but don't force your beliefs on me. Okay, and disrespect my beliefs. Okay, or else I regard you as a stranger. Okay, that's my kind of philosophy, and the fact that she was doing that to me as a friend, okay, was enough of a reason for me to cut her off. Okay, and of course she's the one I always say, she first threw the X on the relationship by saying that she's going to stop talking to me and as and when, and then to reduce her communication with me. That is the first X. But I took the matches and I burned it down. Okay, I burned down that tree. Okay, so that there won't be any kind of a breach between me and her as friends. So I think that same thing is like, with love is the same thing. So the idea is that really love is not enough. There are so many things even with people, like friendship, like, okay, there's philia, love in friendship. There's also eros, love of a more erotic nature or romantic nature between lovers. These are two kinds of love, but they basically, as compared to the Christian love, which is agape, or in Latin, which is caritas, which will obviously evolve into the modern word charity, to give selflessly. Okay, the truth is these two kinds of love, like, which is love for friends, love between friends, and love between lovers. They are human love in itself, and human love is not meant to be very unconditional. There are always conditions attached to it. Okay, and because there are conditions attached to it, there's nothing wrong. Okay, there's nothing wrong with having all these conditions. We need to have those boundaries, because if someone violates them, that's a very bad sign. Okay, the person doesn't respect you. So and the thing is this, that the feeling is not enough. Okay, there's more to it. Mutual respect, family, cultures, whatever. So the thing is this, I'm not trying to be like racist or whatever, but I mean, when I say that I'm not attracted to certain people, like certain girls of different faiths or different cultures, it's just the way it is. Like, I mean, for me, I always say that I prefer a Korean girl, partially because of cultural reasons, and then of course, on top of that, if not, at least the girl could be maybe a Greek or Ukrainian, because I'm actually Orthodox. I was a Ukrainian Orthodox, actually, in a way, because that was what my church is affiliated to. I mean, although we are not Ukrainians by ethnic descent, but at least by faith. So and that itself, is a really enough of a reason to kind of like cut off. It cuts off a lot of things. I mean, the so-called dating market has been cut off. Of course, I mean, I can still date, not date, but at least befriend people of any cultures. But even then, it also bars me off in terms of like what I mean, this is just the truth. We don't befriend everyone. Neither do we love everyone. In the sense that of getting into a romantic relationship with everyone. Okay. And also, goodness, how many wives and husbands are we going to have as a race? It doesn't make sense, does it? Okay. And ultimately, I think that God really intended for each one of us to really have to settle down with one person. Okay. Of course, you practice things like polyamory. I'm not going to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to stop you, but it's just not right, and it's just a sign that you don't really know what you want. Okay. And but anyway, that's just it for now. Okay. So the whole thing I want to say is that really we need to actually just get rid of all these ideas about love, the whole lovey-dovey feeling that is an emotion, because I don't think it's just an emotion. Okay. So and this brainwashing needs to kind of stop, and once we stop thinking about that, and then I realized that in fact it makes you kind of more free to be yourself. And that kind of relationships which don't serve you in the area, like let's say love relationships, because simply it's just one-sided. You're the one giving all the time, but no one gives to you in that relationship. It doesn't even it's a win-lose situation. Basically, you lose all the time, but the other side always constantly wins. It's at the expense of one party. So what kind of relationship is that? It's not love. Okay, it sounds more like a competition. Okay, and yeah, that is something that I think none of us want. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's it for now. Okay, so yeah, once you get out of this, you'll be free. And then you know what? You also won't be living by hatred, because people who can't accept these two things, they are constantly living. They're so in hatred. They're so angry. You know why they're so angry? Because they expect these two myths. The myth that love is all you need, and the myth that love is really that feeling, that it has to exist that way. They keep on expecting that, and they don't get it. Okay, when you don't get it, they take it out on other people. Okay, so I'm not trying to gaslight people. It's just the way it is. You see a lot of people like that, and you know what? You don't have to have very much that kind of expectation when you know that people are not going to give it to you. Okay, and I mean, of course, eventually, I believe that we'll come to around to getting it in someone or finding in someone, but till then we have to really relearn to change the way we look at certain things, like our expectations and the way we look at it. Okay, so anyway, that's it for now. I'm off to do some walking, get some groceries, and I have to go back